What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Read English here with a different video here in my office. Pew, pew, pew. New glasses. And just wanted to make a different video just because, yeah, I'm always like, here's how to pass the interview of blah, 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 blah. And that's not incredibly useful. I just realised in all my videos I don't really talk a lot about, sorry, that's the dog trying to eat the Atlanta, no, it's the puppy trying to eat the tripod. I don't really talk about my own journey, and I went into business for myself when I was 30, and when I did that, I had a lot of time on my hands, kind of like when you're a student, and I was sitting there, I had an e-commerce business at the time, and I was just sort of thinking, what do I do? Like, what do I do with all my time? I got really unstructured. Some days I would work like mad 16-18 hours a day and just like pass out on the dining room table, and other days I just do nothing and just lie on my couch and watch Netflix at home. And I needed some kind of structure, some order, and I've always been a big book reader since I was a kid, and I've read lots of self-development, personal development, efficiency, productivity, all that kind of stuff. I've read those books for years, but the difference was I didn't really do anything with that knowledge. I don't know if you can identify with that. But I would read those books and go, I have read this book, now I am smarter. And then I'd promptly go away and do exactly the same stuff that I used to do. And I was just like, this really isn't making a difference. And then there are a couple of books that I've come across in my life which I have recommended a lot. I have reread probably at least once a year, and I constantly trying to adhere to those principles. I thought if they're useful for me, they'll also be useful for you. It's also a kind of a different video because we're about to hit 20,000 subscribers, which is amazing. So I wanted to say thank you guys. So the first book is called Deep Work. It's by Cal Newport. I absolutely love this book. I first read it in sort of 2017, like here's all my notes. And I've read and reread this book loads of times. I would say probably at least 5 or 6 different times, highlighting in different colours. The principal idea behind this was this idea of via negativa, which is basically not to do more stuff, but just to remove stuff, whether it be, what they call slow productivity. But it's actually really simple. If you kind of locked yourself in a room with no Wi-Fi, no form of entertainment apart from the thing that you had to do, the chances are pretty good that you'd do that thing, because you get so bored, you'd be like, oh my God, I've got to do something, and you just end up doing that thing. And a big problem that I had, and that I've observed in lots of different people that I've worked with in different capacities, is that I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so busy, I can't get everything done. Well, really what they mean is I'm just constantly checking I can't even get my phone because it's over there for a reason, like constantly checking their phone or their email or messages online or social media, or like whatever be your poison, whatever be that thing that's constantly like a little drug that kind of goes, oh, like if you can cut that stuff out and essentially just work deeply. Premise from Cal Newport, his YouTube channel is brilliant, highly recommend him. He's not blown up as much as other productivity people on YouTube because he's not so hacky. He's like how you can change your life in 4 months, or how you can do stuff really well slowly. And that doesn't really translate well to TikTok. Essentially, he was talking about maximizing concentration and minimizing distractions. And this really helped me to kind of figure out the things that I just needed to cut out of my life. He did another thing which was called digital minimalism, or a digital detox. So, stuff that I learned during the day, my phone is pretty much always in do not disturb mode. I track the hours that I work doing the one really important thing for me and for the business, which is to create world-class, compelling content. I track those hours, whether that be studying or creating. I try to time block stuff. So he has a thing called a time block planner, which is cool. I didn't really, you could just get a regular planner for like £3 and just write in it. There seems to be this big sort of thing. Everyone's like, look, a new planner. And it's like £30. I'm just like, just do it yourself. It's actually more fun that way. So I try to track stuff. And what I notice is when I don't adhere to that, I tend to just be really manic and all over the place. Sorry, that was a dog. Click a comment down below if you want me to do a video of my dog. Just randomly. I love my dog. So yeah, that was a really good book. And then I ended up reading this book, which was Be So Good That They Can't Ignore You. Recently, I had a guy call me in my personal life who said that he wanted to be a writer, and he heard that I was a writer, and I was like, okay. And I said, well, you know, do these 3 things and then come back to me and let me know. And what he came back to me and he basically said was like, oh, it's taken a long time and it's really hard, and oh, I just want to make money. And if you just want to make money, you probably will end up doing something which you don't really enjoy, and you will always try and shortcut the process. So the premise of this book was basically defeating the whole, you know, follow your passion is bad advice, which is something that actually wasn't true for me. When I found writing, I absolutely loved it. But what I did was I wrote every single day. I've written every single day for 10 years. I've produced a lot of content. I've produced a lot of, you know, different things through different mediums. And also, most importantly, I was able to get paid for what I do. It wasn't just a hobby for me, but I can honestly hand on heart say that if I had all the money in the world, I'd probably still do what I'm doing because I just enjoy doing it. But, you know, there was some really good things which came up here. For example, like tracking what you do, deliberate practice, enjoying the work, appreciating that work is difficult. So this is something I come across with younger people, students, graduates, and they'll be like, oh, it's really hard. And one of my favourite sayings in the whole world is from Jim Rohn, which says, don't wish it was easier, wish it were better. And what I like about that is, yeah, of course it's hard. Like if you're applying for a graduate job, you know, you're competing against at least 29 other people, and you'd have to be really arrogant to think that you, magnificent you, are much better than everybody else without any form of practice or application. The good news is it really doesn't take a lot of practice to be better than most other people. A lot of people will spend a lot of their time trying to search for the hack or the quick route, and it's all just clickbait. You know, in all honesty, if you want to be really, really good at something, it's going to take time for you to be good at that thing. You know, so choose the thing that you want to be good at and just work on being so good that they can't ignore you. The last book, which I think is really good for execution and zeroing on that, like, well, I know my destination, I know my outcome, so how do I make this actionable day by day, like habit by habit, is James Clear's Atomic Habits. It did have a cover, the dog ate it, so yeah. This again is a book that I've read a lot and I have constantly returned to. And one thing that I loved is just his really simple way of breaking stuff down in terms of, you know, why being 1% better every day will make you like a gajillion times better over the course of a year. Why you do things which are bad for you and why you don't do things which are good for you. Because I think a really important thing is people will, and one of my favourite people to watch, listen and read is Charlie Munger. And he will often talk about, you know, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett from Berkshire Hathaway. This is another great book with the essays of Warren Buffett. Brilliant. I read this years ago. And what they both talk about is they say, don't try and be smarter than everybody else. Just try and not to do stupid shit. Like, just avoid bad mistakes. I think a lot of people these days will just get bored and they'll be like, oh, I want to do something else, I want to do something else. And that's fine, but if you keep jumping around, you'll never really get good at anything. And there's an old saying which is jack of all trades, master of none. That I think James Clear's book, and I've read, you know, Charles Duhigg and all the rest of it, right, is definitely the best sort of mini manual to getting better at habits and just saying, look, you know, the way that your life is now is a lag measure of your habits, of your actions, you know. And, you know, if you're unhealthy, it's probably because you eat too much and you don't exercise enough. If you're poor, it's because you spend too much or you don't make enough, or, you know, and all of those types of things. I know that can be difficult to input. It was really very good. So these 3 absolutely battered books, which I think that's a good book if it's battered because it's been read a lot. You know, importantly, whether you choose to, you know, you use this information, read those books, the most important thing that I've learned from being an autodidact pretty much all of my life, it's not about knowing more, it's about what you do with what you know. And I can still be guilty of that today. So I try to have a habit of summarizing and putting straight into action stuff that I have learned so that I can actually input it into my life. Because if it's not something that I'm going to use, then it's not really useful to have. I can just use Google for that. I mean, it's nice to say that you've read all these cool books at a party or to impress a girl or a boy or something like that, but ultimately if you're not using it, then it's all just stroking your ego. It's just trying to look better. And also be patient with change. One of the things that I can see looking back is a lot of the times when I failed to get the result that I wanted to get was because I was really impatient about change. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to do this all in a week. And it's like, well, you're not going to do that. It's taking you, take losing weight for an example. There was a time when I was like 25 kilos heavier than I am now, which is like 4 stone. I was pre-diabetic and, you know, I was running the risk of having, if you're from Southeast Asia, you're 5 times more likely to get diabetes. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to lose weight. I'm screwed. But all the times before that, I tried to lose weight really quickly. So to go on drastic diets, to exercise an enormous amount every day. And within a week or two, I just ran out of steam. I'd get injured, I'd get hungry, I'd get frustrated, and I'd just go, do you know what, fuck it, and just, you know, go back to doing what I was doing. Actually, the way that I lost weight and kept the weight off was I just picked like one thing. I picked 2 things actually. So the first thing I picked was something which was called Couch to 5K, and it was like running 3 times a week to go from 0 to 5K. And I couldn't run more than a couple of 100 meters without just gassing out. I followed that to the letter. I didn't do anything else. And also I did the slow carb diet, which is from the 4 Hour Body. It's a great book by Tim Ferriss. But you can look up the slow carb diet online. This book, really good. It's a manual. It's not, you don't have to read the whole book. And it was, the thing that I learned was the stuff that I stuck to was simple, actionable, easy, so therefore highly rewarding. I didn't have to think about it too much, and I could just get into the habit of doing the thing and not being successful at the thing. So a lot of times, you know, if I break that down to, for example, getting a job, it's like, you know, how often can you practice online tests, interviews, how often can you send applications, write cover letters? These are all kind of principles that I've learned from these books and from my own life. And I've just tried to input into this particular problem for you guys. It's not rocket science, but what a lot of people will do is they'll do too much because before they did too little and now they feel guilty. So they're just trying to play catch up. They're like, oh, I could do like 4 hours a day. And I'm like, dude, no, you can't. Like, you can't do 4 hours a day. It's too difficult. You're going to find it too stressful. Don't do that. And lo and behold, a week or 2 later, they're like, oh no, I couldn't do it. It's too much. You know, do like 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. Keep it small, keep it manageable, and don't underestimate the psychology of small wins. Because if you say, like, one of the things that I try to do in my life today is I try to keep the promises that I make to myself. So I'm careful about what I say to myself that I will do. So if I said I'm going to work out today, then I think, well, what workout am I going to do? I'm careful to say in my head what it is, because if I don't do that, it damages my self-esteem. It damages my sense of who I think I am. And basically it makes me feel a little bit sad inside, because I think, because I want to be the guy to myself, not to anybody else, but that is a reflection. The outside is a reflection of the inside, right? I want to be that guy who, when I say that I'll do something, my brain knows that I'll do it because it has evidence to point to the fact that I have done those things. Rather than my brain going, you're not going to do that. Whatever, sure. Yeah, you'll run today. Of course you will. And of course I don't. And my brain was like, see, told you so. Because my brain ultimately is going to want me to do the easier, softer thing. You know, there's going to be an element of discomfort. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, drop a like, drop a comment, tell us what you thought about the video. Just a little something different, a little bit something a bit more personal and a bit more, you know, less like, hi, my name's Mike from Job Ready English and here's a video about blah, blah, blah. Just me just having a jam with you. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great day. Bye.